Landman here. I study how people build financial ground and how it washes away when they're not looking. There is a specific kind of mistake that experienced gardeners almost never make, and that almost everyone makes with money. The mistake is this: putting your best resources into the things that are actively working against you. A gardener looks at a plot of land and within a season, sometimes within weeks, learns to distinguish between what belongs and what doesn't, between the plant that will bear fruit and the weed that will crowd it out. The weed doesn't announce itself as a weed. It grows alongside everything else. It uses the same water, the same sunlight, the same soil. It simply doesn't produce anything worth keeping, and if left alone long enough, it takes over entirely. Spending traps work exactly the same way. They grow in the same financial soil as your legitimate expenses. They feel, in many cases, earned. And if you don't develop the discipline to identify them early, not to eliminate all spending, but to distinguish between what grows and what only consumes, they will quietly crowd out the financial ground that was supposed to hold something permanent. Let's name the traps clearly, because vague advice helps no one. The first spending trap is subscription accumulation. Not any individual subscription, each one is defensible on its own. The trap is the aggregate. The average household in a dual income earning range of $80,000 to $120,000 carries between 12 and 18 active subscriptions at any given time. Streaming services, software tools, meal kit deliveries, fitness apps, cloud storage, news platforms. Each one costs between $8 and $30 per month. Together, they frequently total between $150 and $350 monthly. That's $1,800 to $4,200 per year, quietly leaving the account in amounts too small to feel, too numerous to track. That is a weed. It doesn't announce itself. It just drinks the groundwater. The second spending trap is status maintenance. This is subtler and more expensive than subscription accumulation, and it is far more psychologically defended. Status maintenance is the spending required to remain visible at your perceived income level. It includes the car that signals you've arrived, the neighborhood that confirms your professional class, the wardrobe that communicates competence, the restaurant choices that match your peer group's expectations. None of these are inherently wrong. The trap is when the financial cost of maintaining the signal exceeds the financial benefit of sending it, and when the spending continues not because it serves you, but because stopping it would feel like a demotion. You are, at that point, fertilizing a weed, feeding something that consumes ground without ever producing it. The third spending trap is the upgrade cycle. Technology, vehicles, appliances, furniture, the rotating conviction that the current version is no longer adequate. The upgrade cycle is powered partly by genuine product improvement and partly by engineered obsolescence, but mostly it is powered by the same hedonic adaptation engine we've discussed before. The new thing becomes normal. The old thing becomes inadequate. The upgrade feels necessary. And the financial cost of the cycle, not just the purchase, but the depreciation on the replaced item, the interest if financed, the insurance adjustment adds up across a decade to a number most people have never calculated and would find deeply uncomfortable. Here is where the controversy sits, and I want to be precise about it. The financial advice industry, broadly speaking, makes money when you invest. It also makes money when you spend on certain categories. The advice to cut subscriptions, downgrade your car, and stop the upgrade cycle is genuinely good advice, and it is also advice that almost no major financial platform or institution has a commercial incentive to deliver consistently. The people most motivated to tell you to keep your current phone and drive your paid-off car are not the people who make money from your next purchase. So the advice is available. It is simply not loud. It is not marketed. And in the absence of loud, correct advice, loud, comfortable advice fills the space. Now, let's run the soil math on the three traps combined. Assume you address all three with one structural change each. Subscription audit. You cancel half your subscriptions. Average recovery $150 per month. Upgrade cycle delay. You extend your vehicle replacement cycle by 2 years, reducing your average annual vehicle cost by roughly $3,000 or $250 per month. Status maintenance. You make one housing adjustment, moving from the upper edge of your neighborhood range to the lower edge, saving $400 monthly. Total structural recovery, $800 per month. At 7% annually over 20 years, $800 per month compounds to over $500,000. $500,000 not from a raise, not from a new income stream, not from a risky investment. From stopping the fertilization of 3 weeds that were already growing in your financial soil. That is the number that most people will argue with, and then quietly calculate for themselves at 2 in the morning and feel something shift. Landman's weed test is simple. For every recurring expense, ask one question. Is this growing something or only consuming something? Growing means it is building a skill, maintaining health, sustaining a relationship, generating income, or protecting an asset. Consuming means it exists primarily to maintain a feeling, comfort, status, novelty, or the avoidance of the minor friction of canceling it. The consuming expenses are not automatically weeds, but they are candidates. They require the same scrutiny you would give a plant you don't recognize growing in your best soil. Is this supposed to be here? Does it produce anything? Or is it just using ground that something else could hold? Most people, when they apply this test honestly, find 2 or 3 expenses that fail it immediately. Not because they're foolish people, but because the spending environment is specifically designed to make weeds look like plants. The subscription that felt like an investment in yourself. The car payment that felt like a professional necessity. The apartment that felt like the floor below which you cannot fall without losing something real. These are weeds dressed as plants, and they are drinking from the same groundwater as your retirement account, your emergency fund, your first real asset. The land does not distinguish between the root of a fruit tree and the root of a weed. It feeds both equally. Your financial soil does the same. Money flows to what has access to it, not to what deserves it. Your job, as the person who manages that soil, is to control access. To look at what is growing and ask what this is producing. To pull the weed before it roots deep enough to damage what grows beside it. If this changed how you look at a single line in your monthly spending. Subscribe. That's all. Just subscribe. New ground here every week.